Welcome to my Sorcerer, Chainlightning, Frozen Orb hybrid build. This build is a mid-game build, so it works best from level 50 to about level 70, and the main strength of this build is it absolutely destroys any bosses of Nightmare Dungeons, as you can see in the footage you're seeing right now, and it also works very well in Nightmare Dungeons in general. The entire build is based around Crackling Energy and Chainlightning and getting a lot of mana regeneration from Crackling Energy. And on every Chainlightning we use the Frozen Orb Enchantment, which procs with a 30% chance on every Chainlightning. And this applies Vulnerable, Frozen, and also synergizes very well with the Caged Heart of Tal Rasha. I'm going to show you the skills we use, the skill build, the Paragon Board, the legendary aspects, as well as the caged hearts we are using. All the links are in the description down below. So for the offensive aspects, we are using Aspect of Control. Aspect of Control is just very strong because enemies are pretty much always going to be immobilized, stunned, or frozen. Then we use the Conceited Aspect, which gives us additional damage while we have a barrier active. We pretty much have a barrier active all the time. The aspect of the Unbroken Tether gives our Chainlightning additional bounces, which results in additional mana regeneration on boss fights, and also results in a little bit of extra damage from our Chainlightning. And last but not least, the aspect of the Frozen Orbit. This synergizes very well with our Frozen Orb because the additional pulsing and damage helps a lot by making the enemies frozen and also applying vulnerable. For the resource regenerating aspects, we use Prodigy's Aspect. Obviously, this is very, very strong. We have a lot of cooldowns on our bar, and this helps us to regenerate mana when we need it. We just need to pop a cooldown and we get some mana. So if we have max mana, we don't need to pop cooldowns to regenerate mana. This is a very flexible way of getting our mana back. And the recharging aspect pretty much works very well on single mobs and boss fights. On boss fights, this helps us to stay on full mana all the time. So for defensive aspects, we use the aspects of the Unwavering. This turns out to be very, very nice if you have a high percentage. This keeps resetting Frost Nova, Ice Armor, Teleport, and other defensive skills, and it really happens quite a lot. And we use Aspect of the Protector just to get a little bit more barrier to synergize with our build. For the Caged Hearts, we are going to be using the Caged Heart of Tal Rasha. This actually synergizes very nice with our build since we are using all three types of elemental damage. The Chainlightning is going to apply our main damage, lightning damage, and fire damage and frost damage are going to be applied by our enchantment. So this is pretty much a flat about 30% damage increase. Also, we use the Caged Heart of Malignant Pact. This is pretty much a no-brainer. It's the only restful heart available and it is pretty good. Last but not least, we are going to use the Caged Heart of Revenge. This gives us a very nice damage reduction as well as a very nice nuke. So the stored damage can be unleashed with a defensive skill. So this pretty much procs randomly because you're going to be using defensive skills all the time. You can time it, but most likely just see it like an additional damage boost you can use. So let's talk about this build. We are going to be using the Firebolt enchantment, so we're going to choose Firebolt and Arclash. Arclash we sometimes use if we are like completely out of mana and really nothing is going on. We can still use Arclash if we want to. Later we're probably going to transition out of Arclash completely. As for the core skills, we're using Max Frozen Orb with Enhanced Frozen Orb and Greater Frozen Orb for applying Vulnerable to enemies, which is like really nice. And we use Chainlightning with the enhanced Chainlightning and destructive Chainlightning, so we can form a lot of Crackling Energy, which is first of all doing a lot of damage early, and also Crackling Energy helps us to stay at max mana. As for the defensives, I don't really lose defensives yet because the damage is still low in the World Tier 3. Defensives are gonna come in later when we probably transition into Flame Shield. Right now I'm just using regular teleport and the Ice Armor with the enhanced Ice Armor for the Mana Dragon, and Frost Nova with enhanced Frost Nova and Mystical Frost Nova for the Vulnerable again. We use max rank Glass Cannon and 1 rank in Elemental Attunement, as you pretty much use in every Sorceress build. For the other passives, we obviously use Precision Magic for the lucky hit chance, which is pretty much a no-brainer. And since Align the Elements got a pretty nice buff to 9%, we are going to be using this obviously as well. We don't use any mastery skills, but we use Inner Flames and Devouring Blaze. I know Devouring Blaze has been heavily nerfed, but 30% critical strike damage in the early game is still pretty good, as we don't have full access to our Paragon Board yet. Furthermore, we're going to use Static Discharge for more Crackling Energy, and the Invigorating Conduit obviously to get a nice little mana regeneration. So we put 3 points into Fury Surge, which gives us a nice 45% mana regeneration after killing a burning enemy. And remember, enemies are always going to be burning because of the Firebolt enchantment. Of course, we're getting Unstable Currents. That's like the bread and butter of all lightning builds. It's like really nice burst window for 10 seconds. For the ultimate passives, we get Causing Currents, which just gives us a little bit more critical strike chance. We use Electrocution for the nice damage reduction, and we use the Conduction, so we are gonna have some nice movement speed bonus. And for our key passive, we still use Verse Mastery right now. This just gives us a nice damage bonus. So we play a pretty simple skill build. We have Ice Armor for a little bit of survivability and a little bit of synergy effects while we have a barrier up. We have Frost Nova for obvious reasons, same with Teleport for obvious reasons. Then we have Unstable Currents, which is our ultimate that works best on boss fights, and if there's a lot of monsters in this build actually, there's no true area of effect. So if there's a lot of monsters, we need Unstable Currents. If there's just 5 to 10 monsters, we don't really need Unstable Currents because Chainlightning will chew through them just fine. Then we still have Arc Lash, which if we really have no mana and there's just one single mob, we really can't do anything while our mana is regenerating. So then we can use some Arc Lash, and Chainlightning obviously is our main DPS skill. For the enchantments, we use the Firebolt enchantment, which gives us access to burning damage, and with the Caged Heart of Tar Rasha, we get another 10% damage amplification for every type of elemental damage we apply. And so in this build we're gonna do fire, lightning and frost, so we're gonna apply all sources of elemental damage, which synergizes very well. And we have the Frozen Orb Enchantment, which launches with a 30% chance on every other skill we cast. So this is not just Chainlightning, this also triggers on Frost Armor, Frost Nova, Teleport, Unstable Current, so basically for every non-basic skill. And this also going to be enhanced with the aspect that the Frozen Orb stays in place. So this is actually going to apply a lot of freeze and chill and vulnerable, and works very well. As for the Paragon Board, in the very beginning we just get the Destruction Glyph, because that gives us access to critical strike damage, which is pretty much very hard to get in the early game. Then after that, the first board I'm going to be choosing is the Caseless Conduit, because I think the Crackling Energy damage in the early game is far superior above any other damage. As soon as the Crackling Energy damage starts to fall off a little bit, the Paragon Board will probably change. For the item and stat priority, since this is a mid-game or early game build, you're pretty much going to be using whatever you can get. Try to get as much movement speed as possible, so definitely get movement speed on your necklace and get movement speed on your boots, like that keeps you running, obviously. And further than that, try to get main stat, resource reduction and cooldown reduction. This is pretty much it. Don't prioritize damage stats. It's not so important at the very beginning. It's more like keeping your mana up and surviving and running fast. So this sums everything up. I hope you enjoy the video and I hope you like the build. I'm gonna be showing you some Nightmare Dungeon footage now, and thanks for watching.
I need time to prepare that. I need time to prepare that.
I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet.
I need time.
Ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet.